Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths that is based on the advanced information given to us by the exam boards. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. So you do need to know the parts of a circle. So the full distance around the circle is called the circumference. If you've got a little bit of it, it's an arc. If you've got a line across it, that would be a chord. And the part that's kind of trapped in there is called a segment. Then if you've got a line across the circle going through the centre, that's a diameter. If you've got a line just going to the centre, if I can draw it properly, then that's called a radius. If you've got a line that touches the circle just on one point, like that, that's a tangent. But in this case, we have a sector. For mutually exclusive events for A and B, the probability of A or B is equal to the probability of A plus the probability of B. Now we're given the probability of A or B, which is 0.36, and we're given the probability of A, which is 0.12. And so to work out the probability of B, all we need to do is kind of solve this. We're just going to take away 0.12 from both sides, and that will give us 0.24 is equal to the probability of B. So B must be 0.24. It only works if A and B are mutually exclusive though. To work out the circumference, we need the diameter, and the diameter is just the full distance across a circle. So to work out what the diameter is, we're just going to get that radius and times it by 2, which will give us 30 centimeters. The formula for the circumference is just pi times the diameter, and that's going to be pi times 30. And when you do that on the calculator, you get 94.247 blah blah blah. And when you round that, you will get 94.25. We rounded it to 2 decimal places because that's what the question asked us to. I'm going to start by expanding these brackets. You could have divided both sides by 2 and then expanded the brackets on the left, but I'm just going to expand them all because it might be maybe easier, I don't know. So we've got 2x minus 44. Get our lines in because we're solving. And the rule is that we get rid of the smaller amount of x. So we've got 2x here and 12x on the other side. So we're going to subtract the 2x from both sides. And so that'll give us 10x minus 84 is less than minus 44. So we've got minus 44 there, but that won't be a problem because we're going to add 84 to both sides. And so we've got 10x is less than 40. And then we're going to divide 10 both sides to get what x is, or what x is less than. And that would be 4. So our answer is x is less than 4. So this question says that Adrian, Ben and Charlie have some sweets, and the ratio of Adrian to Ben to Charlie is 9 to 6 to 13. But it also says that Charlie got 56 more sweets than Adrian. So there's 56 more sweets. Well, looking at the actual parts of the ratio, there are 4 more parts. So plus 4 parts, which represent plus 56 sweets. So the 4 extra parts are worth 56 sweets, so 4 parts are worth 56 sweets. So 1 part would be 56 divided by 4, which is 14 sweets. So all we need to do now is work out how many parts there are. Well, there are 9 plus 6 plus 13 parts, which is 28. And each part is worth 14 sweets. So the total number of sweets will be 28 times 14. So 28 times 14 is 392. Okay, so we're going to start by writing this out a little bit bigger, give us a bit more space. So it's minus 6x is less than 60. And we're going to do our tram lines down. And we're going to start by dividing both sides by minus 6. Because that's what this is doing, it's timesing the x by minus 6. So we're going to divide both sides by minus 6. So that gets rid of the minus 6 on the left hand side. And it's going to be 60 divided by minus 6, which will be minus 10. Now we've got to be really careful here, because whenever you times or divide both sides by a negative, you must switch the inequality. So instead of pointing to the left, it's now going to point to the right. So our answer is x is greater than minus 10. So we're going to start off with x equals 0, and we're going to write out this equation, but with 0 every time it says x. So it's going to be y equals 0 squared minus 0 plus 10. Well, 0 squared is just 0, so 0 take away 0 is just 0, plus 10 is just going to be 10. So the answer there would be 10. Do the same for 1. So it would be 1 squared minus 1 plus 10. Well, 1 squared is 1, 1 take away 1 is 0, plus 10 is 10. So that will also be 10. 2 squared minus 2 plus 10. 2 squared is 4, 4 take away 2 is 2, plus 10 will be 12. Now we're going to do the negative, so we're going to look at minus 1. So it's y equals minus 1 squared, and it's going to be minus 1 plus 10. So a little bit more complicated here. Minus 1 squared is just 1. Now here you have two negatives together. When you have two negatives together, it makes a plus. So we've got 1 plus 1 plus 10, which is going to be 12. And then we'll do the minus 2. So it'd be minus 2 squared minus 2 plus 10. So minus 2 squared is 4. The two minuses here make a plus. So it'd be plus 2, which would be 6, plus 10 will be 16. So we're going to plot these on our graph. And so we've got minus 2 is at 16, so that'll be there. Minus 1 is at 12, which should be here. 0 is at 10, 1 is at 10, and 2 is at 12. Okay, when you join this up, things to be aware of is you need to make sure that you have a round U at the bottom and not a flat bottom. Okay, so you want to avoid a flat bottom. You also want to make sure that you avoid feathering like that. You want just one nice smooth line. And my recommendation is always to turn the page on its side. I don't have that luxury, so I'm going to try my best with this. But you need to make sure it goes through all the points. And here's the part here where it goes beneath those 2 points. So make sure it goes beneath those 2 points. On most exams, I see them, basically what they do is they draw a line across from those 2 points and say that the line needs to go beneath that, or your curve needs to go beneath that line. So they're looking out that you've gone beneath the line. To find out what the value of x is, we first of all have to find out what the value of y is. And we can notice that we've got two sets of parallel lines here, and a line going through them. And we kind of got these f angles, which we have to call corresponding angles. So we know that 2y minus 50 is equal to 78. And we must write down the reason. So corresponding angles. And corresponding angles are equal. Now here we've got an equation and we want to solve it. So we get our lines in. We'll go first of all add 50 to both sides. So we've got 2y equals 78 plus 50, which would be 128. And then we're going to halve both sides, or divide by 2. So we've got 64. So we know that y is 64. And so we look back at the diagram to find out how we'd work out x. Well, what we can do, there's a few different things we can do. We could work out the fact that these two here are vertically opposite. That would be absolutely fine. But actually, if we look at this part here and this part here, these are also two parallel lines, and we've got this angle here and this angle are going to be alternate. So I can write that down here. So angle ECB is equal to 78 degrees. So this will be 78 degrees. And the reason for that is alternate angles. And then finally, if we know this is 78 and we know that this is 64, because we know what y is, then we can work out what x is. So x equals 180, angles in a triangle, take away the 78 we know and the 64 we know. And the reason for that is angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. And just make sure you write down all the reasons as you go. And when we take away the 78 and the 64 from 180, you get 38. So x is therefore 38 degrees. The important thing when choosing a sample is that everyone has an equal chance of being picked. So if you look at method 1, picking the first 30 students who enter the school is going to have a bias, because there might be a difference in the type of person who arrives early to school to the type of person who might arrive later. If we select a class in the school, then they're generally all going to be the same age. So if it's a year 7 class or a year 11 class, they're all going to be the same age. It might seem that it's fair that picking the first 30 students alphabetically, so A to F or whatever, again, that's not fair, because the people at the end of the register don't have an equal chance of being picked. So you need to make sure everyone in your population has an equal chance of being picked. So picking 30 students out of a hat containing all the students' names in is definitely the fairest way of picking a sample from this list. We can't work out what x is straight away, but we can find this value here. And we know with Pythagoras we can find a third length if we've got other two in a right angled triangle. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And A and B were labelled. C is always opposite the right angle, so it'd be 49 squared plus B squared equals 68 squared. And 49 squared is 2,401. And 68 squared is 4,624. So we are solving here, so let's get our lines down. And we're going to start by subtracting the 2,401 from both sides. So we've got b squared equals 2,223. Then we're going to square root both sides, and we've got b equal to 47.148, blah blah blah. Okay, we're now looking at the second diagram, and this time we're going to have A, we've got our B, and we're going to call x the C. So it would be a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but this time a is 39. B we are given as 47.148, we've just worked that out. And we're looking for c, in fact we can call it x now. Okay, so we need to square that. So we do 39 squared plus 47.148 squared, and that will be 3,744 equal to x squared, and we'll just get our lines in because we need to square root both sides, and we get 61.188 blah 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 is equal to x. It says it wants its two decimal places, so that will be 61.19. So to find the area of a rectangle, we just multiply the width and the length. So that's what we're going to do here. But whenever you have an expression representing a length or a width or anything really, you just put brackets around it. So we go u minus 2 times u plus 9. Okay, and the way we do this is with our grid. And just going to draw out the grid. And so we've got u minus 2, and we're multiplying it by u plus 9. Don't want too many for some reason. And so we've got u times u, which is u squared, u times minus 2, which is minus 2u, 9 times u, which is 9u, and 9 times minus 2, which is minus 18. And what we're going to do is we're just normally going to be able to add these ones together. So our answer will be u squared, and then we're going to do 9u plus minus 2u. Well, that's just going to be 9u take away 2u, which is 7u. So plus 7u, and then minus 18 at the end. First thing we need to do is work out the volume of this prism, and it's a trapezium-based prism. So the volume will be the area of the cross-section, or area of the trapezium, times the length, how 3D the prism is. So trapezium is half a plus b h, and then times the length. Now a and b are the two parallel sides, which will be this one and this one. And then the h is the perpendicular line that hits both of them at 90 degrees. So what perpendicular means, between the bases. So this will be the 25 meters here. So it's going to be half, and then we're going to add 1 and 5, times that by 25. The length is how 3D it is, so it would be that 10 there. So we're going to times that by 10, and that will give us 750. So it's 750 meters cubed. Now, there is a little formula we can make for the rate. So the rate of anything for this will be the volume gained over time. Now, with this question though, we're interested in the time it will take. It says how long will it take. So we're actually looking at the time. So it will be time equals the volume, which is 750, over the rate, which is 15. So 750 divided by 15 is 50. So it will take 50, and let's have a look. It says per minute. So it would be 50 minutes. So here we're given a standard form number, and we're asked to make it an ordinary number, which is just a number you type into the calculator. So I'm going to start off by writing the decimal, which is 6.2, and we're going to shift that decimal point somewhere that it will be the actual number rather than standard form anymore. First thing to point out is we look at the power. If it's positive, it means that our ordinary number is going to be a big number. If it's negative, it means it's going to be a very small number. Since this is positive, we know it's going to be a big number. So we're going to do 4 jumps, because there's a power of 4, to the right to make it a big number. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the decimal point is going to be here. And we're going to fill in the jumps with zeros. So 0, 0, 0. So our new number is going to be 62 with 3 zeros, or 62,000. Now it's important to realise that we're actually shifting the numbers, not the decimal point, but it's a lot easier to move the decimal point in our working out. So we've got to first of all understand what standard form is, and standard form is a number that is between 1 and 10, but not including 10, times 10 to the power of another number. So to find out what the numbers are going to be for our standard form, we're going to just write down the decimal first, so 0.098, and we've got to put a decimal point in somewhere to make this a number between 1 and 10. So if I put it in here, that would make it 9.8, and we're ignoring the zeros to the left-hand side. So we know that our standard form is going to start off with 9.8 times 10 to the power of something. Now this times 10 is always going to be there. It's never divided by 10 or anything like that. It's always times 10. Next, we've got to find out what the power is going to be. So first of all, if it's a small number, if it's a number less than 1, which this is, it's a small number, it's going to be a negative power. And the next thing we do is work out how many jumps we had to do. So it would be 1, 2 jumps between where the decimal point was and where it is now. So 2 jumps means it's going to be to the power of -2. So when we find the mean of something, we add the elements together and we divide them by the amount of elements. So here we've got 3 elements. So what we're going to do is add these together and then divide by 3. Now the problem is that the denominators are not the same, so we can't add them yet. But they're all factors of 45. So we're going to times top and bottom of the first one by 9. So we end up with 9k over 45. Times top and bottom by 3, and so it would be 3 brackets k plus 1 over 45, and the last one is over 45, so we don't need to do anything for that. Then we can just add the numerators together, and I'm just going to expand the bracket here, so it's 3k plus 3 plus k plus 4, and then all of that over 45. And then we're going to do 9k plus 3k plus k, which is going to be 13k. And then 3 plus 4, which is just 7, over 45. So the sum of them is 13k plus 7 over 45. So to work out the mean, we need to divide it by 3. But instead of writing divide by 3, we know KFC, keep, flip, change. If you have a division, you keep the first fraction, you change the divide into a times, and you flip the second fraction. So a different and easier way of writing that is times 1/3. So here we just keep the numerator the same because we're timesing it by 1. And then the bottom we just times by the 3, which would be 135. So our answer is 13k plus 7 over 135. If we draw out this rectangle, we can go through the distances one by one and find out what they have to be to maximize the perimeter of the rectangle. Now, perimeter is obviously the distance around the rectangle. So we're going to start off with the 24 centimeters. So the maximum that could be, well, the biggest it could be before it rounds to 25 is 24.5. And so these are both going to be 24.5. 98 centimeters, well, the maximum that could be is 98.5. And so to find the perimeter, all we're going to do is add all these together. So 98.5 plus 24.5 plus 98.5 plus 24.5. And that gives us the answer of 246 centimeters. First thing to notice is we actually have 2 radii here. So we've got this radius here and this radius here. And all radii are always equal in length. So we have an isosceles triangle here. So this angle here is going to be 19x as well. And we've got to write that down. So we're going to say angle OBA is equal to 19x. And the reason is it's an isosceles triangle. Okay, so we know these two are equal. Well, we also can work out x because, as I said before, we have a triangle here, and all angles in a triangle add up to 180. So we've got 7x plus 19x plus 19x equals 180 degrees, and this is angles in a triangle. Try and draw a better triangle, equal 180 degrees. Try and write out these reasons in full. Okay, so that's going to be, was it 45x equals 180, and let's get our solving lines in. And we're just going to divide both sides by 45. Okay, so we've got x equals 180 divided by 45, which is 4. Now, we're looking for this angle here. That's angle ABC. Now, there's a few different ways we could do this. We could work out what this angle is, because it's a big triangle, etc., etc. Or we can use the fact that we've got a tangent touching a radius. So we know that this, let's just pick a different colour. This angle here is 90 degrees, so we can write that down. So angle OBC equals 90 degrees, because it's the angle between a tangent and a radius. Again, make sure you write all the reasons in full. And so therefore, angle ABC, which is what we're asked for, is just 90, take away the 19x. Well, we know that 19x is 19 times 4, because we know that x is 4. And so that would be 76, so in total it would be 14 degrees. So angle ABC is 14 degrees. We're going to first of all multiply the coefficient of the x squared, which is 6, with the number on its own at the end, which is minus 5, and that will give us minus 30. And the special thing about this number is we're looking for two numbers that times together to make that number, and we're looking for two numbers that add together to make the coefficient of the x, which would be 13. Now, to make a product that's negative, we know that they're going to have to be different signs. So one will be positive, the other will be negative. And we can do this in our head, or we can write out the factors. So I can just quickly write out the factors of minus 30. So it would be minus 1 and 30, minus 2 and 15, minus 3 and 10, minus 5 and 6. And then the same thing, just the other way around. So 1 and minus 30, 2 and minus 15, 3 and minus 10, and 5 and minus 6. And we're looking for the pair of numbers that add together to make 13. So just looking down the list, this one here will make 13, won't it? Because minus 2 plus 15, or 15 take away 2, is 13. So the two numbers we're looking for are plus 15 and minus 2. I'm going to rewrite the question now, but instead of the plus 13x, we're going to split it up into the plus 15 and minus 2, or the other way around. So we could do 6x squared minus 2x plus 15x minus 5. And a little tip, if you've got a positive and a negative number, let's just tidy that up a bit. Always put the negative number first. Okay, so always, if you've got a choice, put the negative number first and then the positive number. It just makes the maths a bit easier. We're going to look at the first two terms and the second two terms separately. We're going to factorise them linearly, which means just put them into a bracket. And we'll only look at the purple box. So here we've got 6x squared minus 2x. So that's obviously going to be 2x on the outside. And that's going to be 3x minus, and here it's actually just going to be minus 1, isn't it? Okay, and for the next one, we're going to have, was it 5? And that would be 3x, and again, minus 1. Okay, these two brackets, it's not a coincidence they're the same. They have to be the same, and we just write them once. They are one of our brackets. If they're not the same, it means you've made a mistake somewhere. And we get the 2x and the plus 5 together. So 2x plus 5, we put them together. So in total, we have the first bracket, which is 2x plus 5, and the second bracket, which is 3x minus 1. And actually, the brackets can be either way around. We're going to start by working out what outcomes will give us two different types of drink. So we could have OA or AO. We could have AW or WA, and we could have OW or WO. Now, what we notice really when we do this is that OA gives us the same probability as AO, same with AW and WA, same with OW and WO. So we're going to just ignore the right hand side ones, and we're just going to focus on the left hand side ones. To work out the probability of O and then A, so orange juice then apple juice, we work out the fact that it's 6 over, well, the probability of picking orange juice first of all is 6 over 27. And then if we picked an orange juice, the probability of picking an apple juice would be 9 over 26. And so that would be 54 over 702. Apple juice then water would be 9/27, and then 12/26, and so that would be 108/702. And then orange juice then water will be 6/27 and 12/26, and that would be 72/702. Now we're looking at the probability of this or this or this, and the word or means add. So the probability of OA or, I should put that in brackets, probability of OA or AW or OW is these added together. And when you add them together, you get 234/702. Now, I said we would deal with the reverse situations now. We're going to deal with that now. And as I said, OA is going to be equal to AO, AW is equal to WA, and OW is equal to WO. So all we need to do to find the probability that the drinks are different is get the 234/702 and just double it. And we can do that by just doubling the numerator, so 468/702. That cancels down to 2/3, so there is a 2/3 chance that the drinks will be different. I'm going to first of all just focus on this rectangle here. And we know that to find the area of a rectangle, you multiply the two lengths. And when you've multiplied them for this rectangle, we get 697. But let's write down what A is equal to. And A will be equal to the area, which is 697, divided by the length at the top, which is x plus 30. Now let's focus on the other square, or the other rectangle. And this time we have A equal to the area of it, which is 1870, divided by the 10x. Now because both of these are equal to A, we can actually just get both of these fractions equal to each other. And what we can do is work out what x is going to be. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my lines in because we are looking to solve. This is probably going to take a while. And I'm going to times both sides by the x plus 30, so I can get rid of the denominator on the left hand side. And so this will just be 697 on the left hand side because that gets rid of the denominator. And it would be 1870 times x plus 30, and then all of that over 10x. Same thing again, but I'm going to get rid of the denominator on the right hand side, so I'm going to times both sides by 10x. So we've got 697 times 10, which would be 6,970x, because it's 10x. And it won't actually do anything to the right hand side, but I am going to expand the top, the numerator. It just gets rid of the denominator. So let's expand while I'm here. So that would be 1870x plus, what is it, 56,100. I believe that's right. Yep. Okay, so now we've got x's on both sides. So we look and see which one is the smaller amount of x, which is the 1870, and we're going to take that away from both sides. So take away 1870x from both sides, and that will leave 5100x on the left hand side, and then obviously we've got the 56,100 on the right hand side. And we want to get rid of the 5,100, so we're just going to divide both sides by 5,100. And so we've got x equals 11. So now we know x is 11, we can pick one of the equations that we had at the start, and I'm just going to pick the first one, and we can just feed in the value of x. So a equals 697 over, instead of x, it's going to be 11 plus 30. And when you do that, you get the answer of 17. So a is 17. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.